Hello, it's Barbara here, and we've been using lots of lovely long extending the body practices where we've been lengthening out and taking our joints into big ranges of movements. But now it's time to add some balance into that, so we're going to think about how to work with some strength around those joints so that the flexibility doesn't lead to instability. And that's what we're doing in this practice. So let's come to hands and knees and work with some movements down onto hands and knees. Start off with some cat posture, cat-cow pose, with knees underneath hips and hands underneath shoulders, and we're using a breath out to take the hips back. Rest the hands lightly. And a breath in to bring the chest forwards. Let's repeat that. Breathing out to go back. Breathing in to go forwards. Use this next one. And then adding in some movement with the legs. As we come forwards, we'll extend one leg out behind. Extend behind, lift to where it will comfortably go to. And as you breathe out, bring the knee in towards you. And then extend the leg out again. And breathe out to bring the knee down and some backward movement. We're repeating that to the other side, so extend the leg out, lifting it up. Exhale to bring the knee in. Tuck the head down, extend again as you inhale. Knee coming down and some backward movement. Let's repeat that again. I need a bit more space behind me. Imagine you're trying to touch the wall behind you. Well, in my case, I can. Tuck the knee in. As you exhale, extend. As you inhale. And backwards, breathing out. Changing sides. Inhale and exhale. And inhale again. And backwards. And let's repeat. Changing sides after each little routine. Inhale again to extend. Okay, so coming back to hands and knees. Let's work with a little bit more movement. I need some space in front of me. We're going to kneel up and raise arms up. And let's bring the hips forwards. And then into a kneeling forward bend. And an upward facing cat posture. And if you're feeling quite energetic, tuck the toes under into a downward facing dog pose. Bring the knees down as you take a breath in. Rounding the back, exhale. Get the weight back towards the legs, lifting the arms to come up again, and then moving forwards. So into cat posture, coming forwards, tuck the toes under, downward facing dog pose. Inhale, bring the chest forwards again. and rounding the back, lifting the arms. So we're going to go through this routine a couple more times. Tuck toes under, exhale to a downward facing dog pose. And we're only there for really a moment or two before we inhale. Bring the chest forwards, exhale to round the back. Raise the arms up. A good little sequence because it's involving lots of parts of the body, the spine, of course the legs as well, strength into the arms. So we're going to come up to a raised kneel and lower arms back down to the sides. So come back onto hands and knees. This one really is more about flexibility than developing strength, but there is some strength going on in the back of the body. So we're going to bring one knee forwards. I'm going to bring my left knee forwards and slide the left leg back. In this particular version, we're keeping the lower part of the leg in line with the upper part of the leg, so the knee is just a hinge with no rotation or twist in it. And we're going to sit up. You might place your fingers onto the floor rather than your hands, but just see what is okay for your back and your hips. And we're thinking about bringing the front of the chest forwards. We're going to take some deeper breaths in because that will also encourage us to bring the ribs forwards. And we're staying for a few breaths. And lower yourself forwards, weight towards the hands, so you can tuck the toes under behind, push back, and the knee coming down. Changing the legs over, so the other right knee now coming forward, slide left leg back. See where is comfortable for your hips to go and the back as well, because we're coming up into a back bend. Taking some deep breaths in, thinking about expanding the ribs or the front of the chest. So the hands are supporting, but there's effort going on in the back. And again, we're staying for a few breaths. A few nice slow breaths, and then coming forwards again, weight through the arms, tuck the back toes under, coming back to knees on the floor. Okay, so that we can move down onto the floor, lying onto the floor next. And if you want something underneath your head, then placing a cushion there or a block. We need a bit of space for this one. So we want to be able to straighten both legs out, well, one at a time, but start with both knees bent and feet resting on the floor. Have the arms somewhere comfortable. So we're going to keep the right leg where it is, roll the left leg out to the side so that the side of the foot, the outside of the foot, is resting down towards the floor. If that isn't comfortable, then see if you can adjust your leg to a different position. It might be that you move your foot and the knee points in a different direction. or you could keep the knee upwards. We're going to straighten out the right leg, a tree posture, but lying down. And then we'll use some leg raise movements with the right leg. The left leg stays where it is. We're involving the arms as well for this, so take a breath in to take both arms overhead. You can see why we need a lot of space for this one. Exhale, bring the arms down, bring the right leg upwards. Inhale to lower the right leg, take the arms over again. Exhale, bring the right leg upwards again. Inhale to lower the leg down, take the arms over. Exhale, bring the right leg upwards in time with your breath. And it feels a little challenging around keeping the legs and the hips stable as your right leg is moving up and down. Let's use one more leg raise. Arms come down to the floor and lowering down, and bring the arms down to the sides to finish. Okay, notice how the hips feel. We're bringing the left knee up to the top, bend the right leg, allow the right knee to roll out to the right side again, so the outside edge of the right foot is on the floor. As long as that's comfortable, then extend the left leg. And you might wonder whether you would put a block underneath your right leg, perhaps to support it if it isn't comfortable. But you know, one of the benefits of working with this posture is to not have everything too supported, so that your muscles have to do the action and support yourself as you're raising and lowering the leg, as long as it's comfortable to start off with. Taking the arms upwards, take the arms over with a breath in and a breath out to bring the left leg upwards, and the right leg finds a place where it can maintain your balance. Take the arms over with a breath in. Exhale, bring the leg up. Take a breath in, arms going over. You might notice that there are differences from side to side. I can feel that there is a difference for me, and you might also notice the same. So I'm using one more movement. We want to do the same number of movements to each side. I hope I've got that right today. And bring the arms back down to the sides to finish. And then we'll bring the right knee back to the centre and bend the left leg as well. Okay, so coming up to sitting position next. And we're going to use, first of all, a little bit of kind of flexibility around hips, and I think it's a good idea not to be too aggressive with these movements. So with both feet resting on the floor, we're going to tuck the right foot underneath the left leg, and I'm sitting on a block, which personally I find helpful, but you can decide whether a block is right for you or not. It doesn't always help. Taking the right foot towards the left hip, so you end up with the leg with knee pointing forwards. Okay, so at each point decide what is right for your hips. Your hips may be more flexible or less flexible than mine, and everybody's a little bit different. So we've got the right knee forwards. I'm going to shuffle the left foot across to the right. So we end up in it's an Ardha Matsyendrasana position for a seated twist. We're not actually going to do a seated twist like this today, but see how that is. And then, depending on how hips are, taking the left foot towards the right hip. And this is a big old movement for the hips. And also there is some rotation in the knees, so you may find it's not a good position for you. Decide if it is. Obviously don't stay if it doesn't feel like you can stay. If it does, then take a few breaths. And then we're uncrossing our legs to come back to where we started, both feet on the floor. And next we're taking the left foot underneath the right leg. And again, left foot to the right side, left knee pointing forwards and right foot pointing forwards as well. See how that is. So in these sorts of postures, we may feel what's happening in the hips, we may feel what's happening in the knees, possibly the ankles as well. If that feels okay, then right foot could go to the outside of the left leg, and we're seeing how this feels. Decide if you want to take the right foot further round so that both knees are pointing forwards. It's a big movement for the hips. And for those that may have hip replacements, I wouldn't do this one. I think I just stop at both knees pointing forwards and the foot pointing forwards rather than crossing across. Depends on your hip replacement, but if in doubt, be cautious if you've got a hip replacement. Okay, so let's come back to where we started. And we're going to sit sideways, but with the legs both pointing to one side. So again, you may find this better without the block. I personally find the block quite helpful. Both feet are pointing towards the right, both knees are angled towards the left. And then we're going to turn towards the left. The right hand is going to come round to go to the outside of the left leg, and the left arm to go round behind us. And let the shoulders rotate. So we're using this twist through the spine, turning the head as well. We're going to stay to take some breaths here. I like to remind myself here that if I sit tall, there is space for the movement to happen in the spine. See if you can find the balance between effort and ease in the posture. Return back to the front when you're ready. And we'll change the legs over, do a little lift around and over, adjusting the feet to be comfortable. And we're turning towards the right so that the left arm is coming across the front of the body, left hand to the outside of the right leg. Take the right arm round as well. And we're turning head as well, keeping the spine as upright as possible. Moving the shoulders towards the right side, to face towards the right side. And returning back to the front when you're ready. Bring the legs forwards. Sitting Dandasana. A little bit of movement to finish after that. Aim to keep the back as upright as possible, so you'll feel some effort through the front of the hips, lower abdomen, and some effort into the centre of the back. Taking the hands back towards the hips as well, and space through the front of the chest. So let's take arms upwards. Now breath in. Lengthen the exhale, bringing the arms down. Remember to take the hands back. Let's repeat. Using that long, calming exhale. And one more. Take a moment to notice how you are at the end of the practice. You could move into some seated practice, perhaps with some pranayama or some meditation. But if you don't have much time today, then notice how you are and carry on with your day.